We usually expect former child stars to follow one of two paths, either a lifetime of chasing the next big role or a tragic descent into the dark side of fame. But Cotler, the girl the world knew as Elizabeth Walton, chose a third option that most of Hollywood would find unthinkable. She walked away from the industry at the height of its nostalgia and decided that the most important work she could do wasn't on a soundstage in front of millions, but in a classroom in front of 30 students. Recently spotted running errands in Los Angeles at 60 years old, Cotler looks less like a television legend and more like what she actually is: a highly successful educational leader who found a way to bridge the gap between fictional family values and real-world social impact. To understand why this shift matters, we have to look at the unique position the Waltons held in the American consciousness. The show wasn't just a drama. It was a cultural anchor that aired from 1972 to 1981, focusing on a family navigating the crushing poverty of the Great Depression and the global turmoil of World War II. Cotler was the youngest of that brood, cast as Elizabeth Walton. For 9 years, she grew up in front of the camera, but unlike the typical Hollywood child, she was never sold on the idea that acting was her only destiny. Her entry into the business was almost accidental. It began with a simple trip to get photos taken for her grandmother. Because she was small for her age and possessed a relentless ability to talk, a photographer suggested she try commercials. Her mother, perhaps in a brilliant display of reverse psychology, figured she would try it for 2 weeks until she got bored. Instead, Cotler landed an audition with the same casting director who had seen her for Gunsmoke, and because they were specifically looking for redheads, she was cast in the television movie The Homecoming, A Christmas Story. What makes her story different from the start was the attitude of her family. They treated her casting in a major production as a once-in-a-lifetime event rather than a career launchpad. They had to coordinate who would watch her each day because everyone else in the family was working real jobs. This grounded approach meant that Cotler viewed the set of the Waltons as a playground rather than a business. She recalls robbing banks on the Western Street lot with co-stars and worshiping the older teenagers on set as if they were the coolest people she had ever met. However, the real turning point in her narrative happened when she attempted to transition from a child actor to an adult professional. Many child stars fail because they can't land the roles, but Cotler's exit was different. She didn't like the environment. She describes walking into adult waiting rooms and feeling an immediate sense of hostility from other actresses, a competitive tension she had never experienced as a child. While others in that room felt their entire lives rode on a single audition, Cotler realized she simply did not care. She had already experienced the peak of television fame, and the hunger required to sustain it in adulthood wasn't there. This realization led her to the world of education, which is where her analytical and history-focused mind truly began to shine. She didn't just become a teacher. She became an architect of the charter school movement. Her journey in education wasn't a backup plan. It was a mission triggered by a very personal crisis. In 2002, while she was teaching history at Environmental Charter High School, her son was in kindergarten at a high-performing district school. Academically, he was doing fine, but he was coming home with stomach aches every day before recess. For a mother who had grown up in the collaborative, supportive environment of a television family, this systemic failure was unacceptable. It was the catalyst for her to move into school leadership. She helped open Ocean Charter School and eventually returned to the environmental charter system to help write the petition for a new middle school. She didn't just want to teach history. She wanted to change how schools were structured. She served as the founding principal for 4 years and remains a key figure in a system that has grown to 3 schools. When we analyze this from an industry perspective, we see a fascinating parallel between the character of Elizabeth Walton and the real Cotler. The Waltons were a family defined by their ingenuity and their commitment to their community during a time of economic collapse. Cotler has taken those same themes and applied them to the modern challenges of the Los Angeles education system. Founding a charter school in California is not for the faint of heart. It requires navigating complex financial regulations, political opposition, and the high-pressure demands of student performance. In many ways, it is more grueling than an 80-hour week on a film set. The fact that she is no longer the principal but still works at the school 4 days a week suggests a level of professional maturity that is rare in any field. She has managed to build a legacy that is self-sustaining, allowing her to step back from the frontline leadership role while still contributing to the institution's mission. This is a far cry from the has-been narrative that often follows child stars. Cotler isn't living in the past. She is actively building the future. Culturally, her rare outings in Los Angeles serve as a reminder of the power of the pivot. We live in a society that often demands we pick a lane and stay in it for 40 years. Cotler proves that you can be at the top of one industry and then decide to start from the bottom of another if the mission is right. Her transition from history teacher to school founder and principal represents a deep commitment to social impact that many celebrities only achieve through symbolic philanthropy. Cotler did the actual work. The industry reaction to stars like Cotler is usually one of quiet respect. She is frequently invited to reunions, and while she did take a role in a 2018 television movie, her primary identity is firmly rooted in academia. She has managed to avoid the pitfalls of fame by finding a purpose that was larger than her own image. By focusing on her son's health and the needs of other students in her community, she found a way to monetize her passion and intelligence in a way that provides lasting value. The financial reality of charter schools is often a topic of heated debate, but from a management perspective, Cotler's success in writing petitions and overseeing the expansion of a school system is a testament to her administrative skill. She moved from being a product in a studio's portfolio to being the one writing the petitions and building the organizations. This shift from talent to management is the ultimate power move in any industry. As we look at the bigger picture, Kami Cotler's story challenges the way we view success. Is success a long-running television show and an Emmy Award? Or is success founding 3 schools that provide a safe and effective learning environment for thousands of children? For the girl from Walton's Mountain, the answer is clearly the latter. She took the resilience she learned from the fictionalized version of the Great Depression and used it to fight the very real educational challenges of the 21st century. Her recent sighting in Los Angeles, dressed in a simple t-shirt and blue jacket, reflects a person who is comfortable in her own skin. She isn't hiding from her past, nor is she clinging to it. She is a woman who realized that Hollywood is a place where you are often told who to be, while the classroom is a place where you help others discover who they are. This transformation from Elizabeth Walton to Principal Cotler is more than just a human interest story. It is a narrative about the importance of agency. Cotler chose to leave. She chose to learn. She chose to lead. In an industry that often treats child actors as disposable commodities, she reclaimed her autonomy and built a second act that is arguably more impressive than her first. The legacy of the Waltons continues, not through reruns, but through the thousands of students who have passed through the doors of the schools she helped create. Ultimately, the lesson of Kami Cotler is that fame is a tool, not a destination. She used the visibility and the experiences of her childhood to build a platform for change. She traded the hostility of adult auditions for the collaboration of a charter school faculty, and in doing so, she found a way to be truly fearless in a town that often operates on fear. While the world may still see her as the little redhead on the mountain, the families in Los Angeles see her as a pioneer who fought for their children's right to an education that doesn't cause a stomach ache. The adventures of the Walton family may have ended in 1981, but the values they represented, resilience, education, and community, are being lived out every day in a charter school in California. Kami Cotler didn't just survive child stardom. She mastered the art of the professional evolution, proving that sometimes the best role you can ever play is the one you write for yourself. The transition from Hollywood to the classroom is a reminder that prestige is often found in the places where the cameras aren't looking. By focusing on the lives of others, a former star managed to find a peace and a purpose that a red carpet could never provide. The mountain is gone, but the foundation she built is more solid than ever.